Today, we're talking about 13 money mistakes that almost everybody makes in their 20s that you don't want to repeat. And don't stress, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to stop buying your morning Starbucks coffee or cancel your Netflix subscription. These are some real mistakes that if you make them in your 20s, you'll end up paying for them for years to come. Mistake 1, spending money on status instead of skills. When you're in your 20s, you want to try and look like you're doing well. You see all these people on social media showing off their fancy rented cars, showing off their luxury holidays that daddy paid for, and they're showing off their fake Rolex that they bought online. Truthfully, it's so hard to not want these things if everybody around you has them. And that's a trap that can ruin the rest of your life. You end up buying shit that you don't need to impress people you don't know. Nobody that's truly successful cares about any of those things. The people that matter, the people that are successful, they care more about what skills you have than the crap you buy. So instead of going out and buying that iPhone for $1,000 because you're too embarrassed to go out and buy a cheap Chinese version, go and spend that money and go and learn something. Go out and go and buy 50 books at 20 bucks each, go and take a course on how to build a business, or get a coach or join a mastermind. The thing is, when you spend this money, initially it's gonna hurt. You might not see some results straight away, but when you do this over time, your skills are gonna compound like crazy. So buy some books, take a course, get a coach, that Rolex can wait. Mistake 2, stop chasing paychecks, start chasing growth. Your 20s aren't the decade to chase the biggest paycheck, but the decade to maximize your knowledge and skills. And I get it, life's expensive, rent's expensive, food's expensive, and inflation is gonna ensure things are always going up and up and up. But if you chase the biggest paycheck in your 20s, you're gonna miss out on the biggest opportunities to learn the knowledge and the skills to be able to master skills you need to live the life that you want. Because let's be honest here, for you to get good at anything is normally gonna take a decade. And if you wanna get a head start in your life, use your 20s not to chase the biggest paycheck, but to chase the knowledge and the skills. To give you an example, I run a super successful home services company in Australia, and the next phase of my personal legacy is giving my business knowledge back to aspiring entrepreneurs. So for me, I'd benefit far more from working alongside Gary Vee for free to learn how to build a personal brand, as opposed to trying to charge him for coaching. Look, I interview so many people, and when they come in for a job, one of the things that's most important to them is how much money they'll make. But if you want to be like the top 1%, in your 20s, don't worry about how much money you're going to make, focus on the skills and the knowledge you'll learn. Mistake 3, just saving money. I don't know about you, but I know that a lot of us had some pretty messed up programming around money passed on from our parents and grandparents. So my grandfather, he grew up in World War II, and he didn't want to waste a penny. And this was tough because every time I spent money, I felt guilty about it. But the thing is, you won't save your way to riches. So instead of trying to put away all those spare dollars, try and invest them instead. And what should you invest them into? Like I said before, the best thing you should invest them in is into yourself. So go out and buy a book, take a course, get a coach, or join a mastermind. The thing is, investing in yourself is like investing in a business. The more you reinvest in a business, the bigger it will grow. And the same is with you. The more you invest in yourself, the more valuable you'll become. So stop saving and start investing in yourself. Mistake 4, spending before you decide how much to invest. I'll keep this one short and to the point. You don't save what's left after spending, you spend what's left after saving. And this is some timeless wisdom that you'll hear from Warren Buffett, Jack Bogle, and all the other great investors. But what do 99% of people do? They get their paycheck, they pay their bills, they buy their groceries, and invest what's left over. And a quick little quiz for you, how much do they have left over? Normally, nothing. When you look at the rich and successful people, they always tend to have money. And why is this? Because they tend to pay themselves first. Well, the rich and famous will normally set aside a percentage of their income each week or a fixed amount of money each week and then put it into an investment account. Then this money can be used for investments, or it can be used for coaching, or it can be used for future plans and dreams. And what's even better is normally doing this with a separate bank account, because out of sight, out of mind. You can't go blow the money on impulse stuff. Then when you check on this account every month or every quarter and you're investing it, it's gonna compound like crazy. And a little add-on, mistake 5, using a credit card. And before you check out, hear me out. The thing is, when you use a credit card, it's not your money, it's the bank's. While the banks hand out credit cards, if it wasn't making them a shit ton of money. Banks understand human behavior, and they understand that the majority of the population will put crap on their credit cards and won't be able to pay it back, therefore giving the banks huge interest over time. Man, I had an employee that paid his credit card down over like 10 years. The thing is, using a credit card makes the purchasing process less painful. You swipe, you hear a beep, purchase made. And the thing is, because it's so easy, you end up buying useless crap. To get ahead financially, something that you need to do is be intentional about your spending habits. And how do you do that? By using cash instead of credit. By using cash, you feel the pinch every time you spend money. And what's great about that is you start being conscious about what you're spending money on instead of spending like an idiot. Mistake 6, going shopping. I remember when I was younger, I'd just go to the shops and wander around. The thing is, I'd try on a shirt and think it's okay. I wouldn't love it, but then all of a sudden, some beautiful young girl would walk past me and say it looks great. And me, I was trying to impress her or whatever, I'd end up buying that shirt. I'd go home, try on that shirt with some other clothes, and guess what? It looked like shit. Money wasted. Guys and girls, when you go shopping, be intentional. On my fridge, I have a list, and when I go shopping, I buy what's on the list, nothing else. Do the same. Before you go shopping, create a list and buy nothing else and watch your money grow. Now, before I move on to the next mistake, if you're getting value so far, be sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe. Mistake 7, hanging out with the wrong crowd. This applies to your family, your friends, your workmates, and even the people that you live with. There's a saying that gets thrown around in the self-help world that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So let's say you have all the ambition in the world, but you're surrounded by idiots 99% of the time. What do you think you'll become? An idiot. What happens if the people around you are constantly complaining about life, complaining about work, complaining about how much money they make? Well, let's be honest here. It's not going to be too long before you start complaining and being the same. The thing is, although you think you have all the willpower in the world, eventually if you keep hanging around with these people, you're going to fall in line. Now, this works both ways. Let's say that you surround yourself with people that have ambition, that have dreams, that have goals and are working towards those goals, and they want to become the best versions of themselves. This too is going to rub off on you. Again, regardless of how much willpower you have, over time, your environment will shape you. If you want to be successful and earn big money, you've got to surround yourself with these types of people, and what will happen is eventually you'll rise to the occasion. And what's the best way to do this? Join a mastermind. Moving on nicely, mistake 8, underestimating the power of where you live. When people ask themselves where they should live, they normally ask a pretty simple question. How much is the rent and how much does the house cost? And yes, that's a practical question, it makes sense, right? But there's a little truth that I heard from Tony Robbins. Proximity is power. Now let me explain. If you're surrounded by poverty, falling back on the last lesson, eventually your environment will make you poor. Think about it, if all those houses in the area are below the average household price, if all the income earners in those areas are earning below the average income, this will become your normal and eventually you're going to fall in line. On the flip side, if you rent the cheapest house in the most expensive area, or if you buy the cheapest house in the most expensive area, this too has significant power. And why is that? Well, if you're surrounded by all these expensive homes, and if you're surrounded by all these people making some really big money, naturally what's going to happen is your environment's going to shape you too. It's going to make you have inspiration to go and see what's possible. So when choosing where to live, think about the pros and cons of where you're living. So let's say you move close to the city and you're saving 20 hours of travel per week. If you're saving 20 hours of travel per week, how much more work could you get done and therefore money could you make? Mistake 9, copying there now. The thing is, from a very young age, we have people that we look up to. This could be musicians, actors, athletes, entrepreneurs, the rich. And when we look up to them, we try and live like them. But there's a problem with that. You're copying there now, not there then. Let me explain. So often we try and live the life of the people that we admire, but we just aren't in the same chapter of life. Because let's be honest, we're all on our own journey. They can afford the clothes, the cars, the houses, the holidays, because they've done the work, but you're just starting out on your journey. What you should really be asking and trying to copy is what they were doing 10, 20, 30 years prior. People see the overnight success and try and copy there now, but nobody truly wants to do what it takes to be successful. Nobody sees the working sunrise to sunset, the 7 days a week, the years of grind it took them to become successful. And nobody saw the coaches they had or the masterminds they were part of. The truth is, if you copy there now, you'll fail. If you want to be successful, think about what they did in the past and try and copy that, and then too, you'll become successful. Mistake 10, measuring money in dollars. So here's something that really changed the way that I think about money. Stop measuring money in dollars, but in time. The thing is, every dollar you've ever made came from a moment of your life. So really, money is taking away a part of your life. It's an interesting concept to think about, right? It's so easy to go to the shops and buy a $200 pair of shoes and don't really feel the pain. But when you start to think about money in terms of time, you're going to appreciate the money you're spending a whole lot more. Well, let's say the average wage is $20 per hour. And let's say those shoes you want to buy are $200. So the next time you want to buy those shoes, think about the 10 hours of work that you needed to put into to buy those shoes, because you become so much more conscious about the money you spend. And when you're conscious about what you're spending your money on, naturally your money's going to grow. Mistake 11, competing on income instead of savings. We all love to compare our income to our family, to our friends, to our workmates, who earns more, what job pays best, who's doing better. It's so hard not to compare. I know people making hundreds of thousands of dollars per year without a dollar to their name. In Australia, you have people working in the mines earning $200,000 per year plus. but they don't have a single dollar to their name. And why is that? Because they go out and buy the fancy cars, they go out, buy the fancy houses, and they blow it all on drugs and alcohol. The thing is, it's not about how much money you earn, it's about how much money you keep, right? You could be earning a quarter of the wage of somebody else, but you're saving far more, so on paper, you're financially way better off. Don't get caught up in what other people are earning, right? Get caught up in how much you can keep, and this is gonna lead you on the path to financial success. Mistake 12, never checking your bank account. I know when I was growing up, there were times where I was too scared to check my bank account. And one of the major reasons for this was I was too scared to see how much money I had in my bank account, if I had any money at all. I think the thing that I found when I kept ignoring my bank account, things didn't get better, things actually got worse. And why did things get worse? Well, I kind of would just swipe my card away. I'd go out and buy takeout, I'd buy clothes, I'd buy dumb shit that I didn't need. Checking your bank account is actually really important. It's kind of like jumping on the scales. Initially, it can be pretty scary jumping on the scales, but jumping on the scales will give you the motivation to change. The same is true with your bank account. When I started checking my bank account daily, it started to give me insights into things I never knew in the past. I started to recognize how much money I was spending on takeout. I also started to pick up on things like subscriptions that I thought I'd canceled that I was paying over and over again. So just by checking your bank account, it actually makes you so much more conscious of where your money's going. Mistake 13, not knowing when it's okay to spend. Now that you know what not to spend your money on, I need you to know that not all spending is bad, right? Like I said earlier, I used to feel guilty every time I used to spend money, and now I don't. The thing is, spending money doesn't always need to give you a return on investment financially. You can get returns in other areas. Look guys, let's not mess around here. Life is short. Having the biggest bank account when you die is not necessarily gonna make you happy. But what will make you happy is the journey. It's gonna be the experiences you've had along the way. And there you have it, 13 money mistakes you should probably avoid in your 20s. If you got value, smash like, hit subscribe, drop a comment down below. Now, if you want to know what books will make a massive impact on your life, check out this next video. See you over there.